Okay, after the last commit, I committed all the entities into GitHub, and what happened was I got an email notification that my CircleCI build failed. So I want to show you something. This is actually very important. I'm going to come in here and take a look at it. I'm scrolling down to the bottom. Now, this can be a frustrating thing, and I've seen this before with JHipster. I'm getting an exit code of 137. So what's happening there, this is kind of without getting overly technical, what happens is Java sees memory of the machine as a whole, but the limitation on this JVM is actually on the container. So the way CircleCI works, it gives your container a 4 gig max of memory consumption. But the Java process, it's kind of a quirk in how Java is working right now. This is changing in Java 9, so I'm still on Java 8 here, but it's just kind of how the memory management inside of Java works. So Java does a check on the memory on the machine, and it comes back to the entire memory of the machine, but it does not see the limitations on the container memory, so it kind of runs away with it. And this process value of 137 basically means that Docker smacked the container down. It shot it in the head saying, no, you're taking up too much memory. You die now. And so our process died, and there's a lot of different ways of setting up memory. And it took me a couple hours to resolve this the first time it happened to me. And I want to come over here and I'll show you the fix. What's happening under the covers in Gradle, it actually forks a new JVM process, if I understand it correctly, and that is a test JVM. So there's a number of ways to set the memory for Gradle, and I was having problems because I was setting the memory for Gradle, but this test JVM wasn't getting set. So if you research it, there's a number of different ways to be setting the JVM memory, and for some reason, unless you set it right here for the test, the other methods seem to get ignored. So I'm going to go ahead and commit this now, because we really don't need that much memory for our test. We don't have a lot going on. I think it's just the fact that JHipster is doing a lot of stuff, and what's happening is it's just the JVM seeing all the memory, it's just kind of grabbing it when it really doesn't need to. So we're going to put a limit on it. Go ahead and commit that up. And I'm going to pause the video for a moment and we'll check the build results. Okay, the build completed here, and we can actually see just a second ago I checked in and Dan checked in right behind me. So let's take a look at this, and we'll show you that it did in fact pass this time. So we can see that the build was successful. So this is very important, and I just want to recap here what's going on. So coming over here and setting the JVM memory sizes, and that failure code, let's go back and take a look at it real quick. This failure code here can be very frustrating, because if you don't understand what that 137 is, what's happening here is the Docker daemon is going and smacking your process down and saying you die now, and that's what that 137 effectively means, is that your process was terminated by its parent process. And what's weird is if you don't understand what this is, this can be completely random, because you saw, actually let's go back one. You can see here that it was passing. These are my own failures, but we did have multiple successful tests, and then this one kind of randomly failed. Now, I could just gone in and rerun it as is, and it may have passed. So that memory error is random. That's kind of a weird thing that's going to kick off at random, and we can see that Dan just kicked off another one as we're sitting here watching. Kind of cool how CircleCI is working, but that memory failure can be random, so this is very important. And if you start building stuff on CircleCI under Gradle, remember this tip, because it literally took me hours of trial and error to realize that I had to include the memory settings inside the test task here inside of JHipster to have that picked up, because I was trying as environment variables, setting it elsewhere outside the test task, which would handle the memory settings for the primary JHipster task, but not the JVM. So it's going to spawn off a new JVM or the test, and this is how you set the memory for it. So hopefully you'd never encounter this, but if you do, hopefully now you'll remember this and know how to address it in the future.